Hello from Beer Australia Reviews, and welcome to my beer review of 2022. And I'm going to be bringing you my top 5 and bottom 3 beers that I've tasted in 2022. And there's been some really good ones this year, and there's been some awful ones, but it's Australian beer. What you expect? Now, just before I get into the list, also a couple of people, 3 people actually, I've got to say thank you to. First off, Joe from Margaret River Brewhouse. Now, if you go back through my videos, you'll see that I had an interview of Joe actually at the Margaret River Brewhouse, and we sampled a couple of their beers, or 3 beers from there. And if you're in the Margaret River region, very definitely pop over to the brewhouse. If Joe's there, say hello, and say tell him that Simon from Beer Australia Reviews told you to say hello. Yeah, top guy, and the beers that they make in Margaret River Brewhouse are excellent. Now, also, another person I need to say a big thank you to is Chris from Brewshed Project Maylands. I think I said it the right way around this time, Chris. So Chris is one of our local homebrew experts in Perth, and I've got to know him a couple of years ago, and he's always experimenting with different sorts of beers, but the beers he makes are also excellent. Now, it's a pity he doesn't sell them, because you will buy them. I do have a keg full of his December 2022 Hazy IPA, I think it is. It's not been cracked open yet. It's still in the settling stage inside the fridge, but I'll be having a taste of that one in the next couple of days. I might even do it at the once I've finished this video today. And also, the third person and last person, but by no means the least person, I need to say a thank you to, is our executive producer, Melanie. Now, Melanie has actually been seen in 2 of the videos. Strangely enough, she's been in the same videos that Joe from the brew house has been in. So she's in the background a couple of times in the Fremantle Beer Festival video, and also she's on camera when at the brew house when I interviewed Joe. So, but Melanie is actually my wife, and if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be able to do any of this. She allows me to do this. She puts up with me for doing this as well. So yeah, so thank you, Melanie. Now, on with the beers. Okay, so now in my top 5 beers, in 5th place, I'm going to give it to Margaret River Brewhouse Megsy Ginger Beer. Now, I wouldn't normally have had a ginger beer on this list, because it's not the same as having a standard sort of beer that's made from barley or even wheat, and but this particular ginger beer that they make at Margaret River Brewhouse is actually just the best one of its kind that I've tasted. I've used to get the odd ginger beer in the UK, and it was always good stuff if you go to anywhere that's like a real ale place, but the things like the ginger beers and stuff that I've had in Australia, things like the, is it called Matzo's or something like that, they're just not the same thing. So when my wife saw the Margaret River Brewhouse Megsy Ginger Ale, we bought a 4-pack, she cracked it open, and it was just an amazing smell. I was taken aback by how good it was. I had a taste of it, and it's just like, it has been the best ginger beer that I've tasted in Australia, and for that reason it makes my top 5 list of 2022. So now, I did have I did ask, did they put any extra special green fairy juice in this one? No, they don't. And it's a seltzer, which I was actually a little bit disappointed with, Joe. You have to actually brew the ginger next time, make an actual true proper ginger beer. Okay, so that's in 5th place. And my 4th place beer for 2022 is Voodoo Ranger Hazy Pale Ale. Now, I'm not going to say that this is the 4th best tasting beer that I've tried in 2022. It isn't, but I'm putting this one in the list for a particular reason. Now, the Voodoo Ranger comes from a company called New Belgium Brewing Co., which is actually an American company that was bought out by Lion Brand and brought to Australia. So it's a brewed under license beer. Recipe is American, and they brewed under license in Australia. Now, generally speaking, no, in fact, every other beer I've ever tried that was brewed under license in Australia is awful. So I'm thinking here of things like the Heineken that you can get in this place, Asahi, Stella is just like a pale comparison compared to what it's like if you actually get the stuff from Belgium. When you bring a recipe from Europe, especially into Australia, the water quality is different, the ingredients are different. It's not the same beer. In the same way that you can't make champagne outside the Champagne region because that's the only place where they have the Champagne climate and the Champagne soil, you cannot brew under license in Australia a European beer recipe. But the Voodoo range of beers, despite the fact that they are mass-produced, and despite the fact that they're actually really budgets, it's always like the cheapest 4-pack that you'll see in the bottle shop. The Voodoo range of beers are actually really good quality. I was actually really surprised after I tasted them to find out that they were actually from Lime Brand. So what it does is it proves that if you do it correctly, then you can brew under license in Australia, which is something that I would never say. Anyway, so that's in 4th place, Voodoo Ranger Hazy Pale Ale. Okay, now, in 3rd place, we have Other Side Barley Wine. Now, I did a taste comparison of Freestyle Brewing Belgian Ale and also the Other Side. Now, it's called, let me get this correct, it's Spanish Cedar Barley Wine because apparently it gets matured in a barrel that's made from Spanish cedar wood. But it's a barley wine, which is an English style, super premium, really thick, heavy beer. If you've never tried a barley wine, do try it. Now, this is choosing this Other Side Barley Wine as my 3rd best beer for 2022 is again a lot to do with the fact that they have made an authentic tasting barley wine. A lot of the times when I try an Australian version of a particular style of beer, it's not the same, and it's generally speaking it's a miss. But this particular beer, so barley wine from Other Sides, which is a local Perth brewery. It's just south of the river in it's not far from I've completely forgotten where it is. Melville. Okay, and so it's only like a couple of miles away from where I'm sitting right this second, and it's just the Other Side beers. I've tasted a few of them this year. They've all been really good, but this is the standout for me. And the reason why it's the standout is because it's so very like an actual proper barley wine as made in England. So I compared it with because it was World Cup time, I compared it with the Freestyle Belgian Ale, and the Other Side it was like a 5-4 victory for England. But at least England made the knockout stages. I don't think Belgium did. Never mind. My number 2 rated beer for 2022 is Homestead's Brewery Kaiser's Choice Hefeweizen Light Cloudy Wheat Beer. So it's a Weizen beer. Now, this is brewed in the Perth Hills or in the Swan Valley, and it's a relatively new brew pub that's been built as part of like a resort. So it's a hotel complex, it's a vineyard, it's like a conference venue. They have a lot of weddings. It's really picturesque. It'd be a really great place to have your wedding, but they also have a brew pub. And reading up on this one, they've actually imported from Germany all of the brewing equipment. So they actually had a German company source and then install all the brewing equipment in the venue, which is called Mandoon Estate in the Swan Valley near the Perth Hills, and it actually has paid off. I was so taken aback when I tasted the Kaiser's Choice Weizen beer from Homestead. It's the most genuine tasting Weizen beer. When I say that one, it's so much like an actual premium quality German Weizen beer that I've tasted in Germany that I thought it was just like really good. I thought this is one of the best beers I've tasted. It's one of the best wheat beers I've ever tasted. So even including some premium quality German wheat beers. Now, the main brand of Weizen beer that you get in Australia is the Weihenstephaner, which is actually not a premium brand. It's like a bit of a lower price brand. It's like a mainstream, like mass-produced one, compared to some of the breweries that you do taste in Germany. So the Weihenstephaner is not the best of its kind, and I think that the Homestead Kaiser wheat beer is actually a level above the the Weihenstephaner. Even though the Weihenstephaner is actually made in Germany and imported into Australia, it's good compared to other Australian stuff, but it's not the best it's not the best of its kind. Right, but in any case, that's my number 2 beer of 2022, Homestead's Brewery, Kaiser's Choice Hefeweizen, another Perth brewery. Okay, now, where do we start on this one? Well, we're going to start with number 3. So, my number 3 worst beer of 2022 is Gage Road's After Hours Hoppy Winter Ale. Now, this Gage Road's brewery is actually quite good. I quite like the Gage Road stuff. They have a full range of what you'd expect of the usual sort of craft beers. They have like your IPAs. I had an XPAs of theirs a couple of days ago. It's the beer. Gage Road's is the beer that you get if you go and watch Perth Glory football at the stadium. But what they've done here is the Hoppy Winter Ale. Reading into this one, they've taken a sort of dark ale, sort of a recipe, which would normally only ever have bittering hops in it. But what they've done is they've taken the type of hop profile that you would have in like a really spicy, sweet IPA, and they've tried to combine the two together, and the whole is far less than the parts. The two flavors in there, the winter ale type thing, and then the really spicy hops, just don't meld together. It's not anything like as bad as the Rocky Ridge Baby Peach, which was my worst beer of last year, but it's pretty low because it doesn't work. This is proof that you cannot just take two separate individual flavors and just put them together in the same beer. It doesn't work. You have to have a recipe. You have to have complementary flavors, and the winter ale and the IPA hop profile does not work. It's not a good beer. Okay, but there we go. And my second worst beer of the year. Sorry, Amy, but it's one of the beers that you bought me for Father's Day, and it's the Bluey Ultra Crisp Lager, which is actually it's a Woolworths own brand. So if you're not from Australia, this would be like a I don't know what like a Costco brand or a Walmart brand or a Tesco brand beer, and it's just like a sort of mass-produced sort of flavourless, tasteless, sparkleless. It's just like has nothing going for it. Now, today they've actually put on the news, or released across the internet, the fact that the very top-selling beer in Australia in 2022 has been Great Northern, and right, I put Great Northern in the same category as this Bluey. It could have been a few other beers as well. Any one of these beers, which are just they make it down to the lowest price point. Oftentimes they'll have like a big advertising campaign, like they do with the Great Northern, or other things like Furphy or Furby. Tasted it once, it wasn't good, and even things like so. Any one of these ones which is just like a mass-produced beer and just doesn't have any sort of a quality in there. They're making it down to a price, and then they're trying to make the maximum amount of profits from the individual units. The beers, right, are just not worthwhile drinking. And this particular one, Bluey Ultra Crisp Lager, Woolworths brand, is just anyway, it's typical of one of these cheap beers. It's not worthwhile tasting. Okay, but number one on the list of worst beers, Okay, the worst beer I've tasted this year has been Guilo Hazy IPA, and it is awful. I I suspect that they are using Perth water straight out the tap, because there's just no sort of, it's got this horrible dry metallic dirty taste to the thing. Also, Guelo, all the branding is about Hong Kong, and I don't think any of the people who make the beer have ever been to Hong Kong, and I have no clue why they have Hong Kong on the label or Hong Kong on the branding or anything like that at all. See, when I first bought this, I thought, oh, look at that, it's a Hong Kong beer. Is it made in Hong Kong? And I didn't have my glasses on me, so I couldn't tell. I was just going on the branding. It turns out it's made by Rocky Ridge, which last year's my worst beer of the year was made by Rocky Ridge. This year, my worst beer of the year is made by Rocky Ridge. Is there a theme there? I don't think Rocky Ridge treat the water right. I've had a couple of Rocky Ridge beers that were okay, but this Guelo thing is an absolute disaster. It's cheap, it's nasty. It doesn't. I don't know how they've actually made the thing, but they've put absolutely zero thought into this one whatsoever. I have no clue. I resisted getting there's like a fizzy, sherbety coloured one with like a rainbow colours on it, because I don't like a sour beer, but I don't like sour beers, so I steered clear of it. But when I saw that they did an IPA, I thought, oh, let's have a try that one. It was cheap as well. That should have actually been a giveaway, but there we go. The worst beer that I've tasted in 2022, right, was made by Rocky Ridge. 2 years in a row, Rocky Ridge. Guilo Hazy IPA. It's awful. It's the worst. They should not be. Right, if you're not going to treat the water right, if you're not going to put an effort in to make the beer, just don't make the beer. Just do something else with your time, because this Guilo is crap. Oh, right. Anyways, okay. So, but here we go. We were asking what is the top beer of 2022. Drum roll, please. My number one beer of 2022 is actually Magic Juice Nipa from Freestyle Brewing. So Perth WA beers have done really well this year, but this has been the best tasting beer that I've had this year. So when I first opened this one, I got one can of the things just to try it, because I'm so weary these days of trying a new brewery that I've never tried before. So many of the breweries that you try, oh god, things like Boston Brewing, Bright Tank. They I don't think they know what they're doing when they make the beers. Rocky Ridge, variable. Shelter, awful. So when I saw this one, I was like, yeah, a little bit reluctant. Okay, I'll buy one can. I opened the can, and it was like stepping into a meadow of herbs. There was so much flavour coming out of the can. It was just amazing. It was so good. Trepidation, tasted the thing. The water was treated correctly. They'd filtered the water. They put a water profile on there. Since then, I've spoke to the brewers and stuff and just confirmed all of these things. But Freestyle Brewing, I've been back there to get my jug filled up a few times. Every time I pass by, I buy some cans of it. I do have I have one Freestyle Brewing beer left, which is it's the American double hopped pale ale. Now I will be trying this one later on today, but Freestyle Brewing, I don't know how far it actually gets at all, because they don't even have a website. Right, they only seem to have like a Facebook page and mainly an Instagram page. But Freestyle Brewing, I'll have to find out whether or not they actually export them outside WA, whether you can get them on the East Coast. If they do, right, try it. They sell them in like a couple of the decent bottle shops around Perth. If you're in Perth and you see Freestyle Brewing, grab it. It doesn't matter what type of Freestyle Brewing it is. The Belgian ale just lost out to the other side barley wine when I did a taste test between them, but they were different style beers anyway, and I just preferred the barley wine to the Belgian ale from Freestyle. But every single one of the different Freestyle beers that I've tasted has been absolutely excellent. So Mr. Freestyle, I don't know, if that's your first name, but I'm going to call you Mr. Free. You've made some really good beers. Thank you for that. I actually, the last time I popped over just before the end of the year break, before Christmas, and I got the jug refilled. And I bought 4 cans of mixed 4-pack. One of them left, but very definitely try the stuff. It's just the Magic Juice Nipa. It was exactly what you'd expect. It's thick, it's creamy, it's malty, it has a really good hop profile. They've managed to keep all of the hops in there as well. They must dry hop the thing at the end, and extra hop flavours jump out the glass at you when you crack the thing open. It's perfect. Right, so there we go. That's my top 5 and bottom 3 beers of 2022. So the bottom 3: Gage Road's After Hours Hoppy Winter Ale, don't mix your flavours. Bluey Ultra Crisp Lager, just a cheapo, bland brand. Guilo, oh god, Guilo, don't touch Guilo, don't ever drink the thing. And my top 5 beers: in 5th place, Margaret River Brewhouse Ginger Beer. In truth, it could have been any one of their beers, because they're all good. But I chose that one because I was so impressed at the fact that they've got a ginger beer. Number 4, Voodoo Ranger Hazy Pale. Not the best beer out there, but the best of its kind. A brewed and licensed beer in Australia that works. Number 3, Other Sides Barley Wine. Yep, Perth Company. Number 2, Perth Hills Company Homestead. Homestead Brewery Kaiser's Choice Weissenbier. But in first place, well worth it. If you see it, buy it. Magic Juice Nipa from Freestyle Brewing. So, Happy New Year for 2023, and if you don't mind, we've got a Homestead. I'm going to give that one a bit of a roll around and a thingy because it's a cloudy Weissenbier. Okay, right in front of there's the microphone. Oh. Ooh. Enjoy your beers. Thanks for watching.